the law of the land is, always has been, always will continue to be, the United States Constitution and the laws of the United States made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States. That's what's stated as the law of the land. That's in Article 6, right here. It says, this Constitution and the laws of the United States made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or the laws of any state, to the contrary notwithstanding, which means state judges have a very immediate and proper role to play under the Constitution of the United States. It's not just the Constitution of the state they're under the Constitution of the United States, and they must know and interpret that Constitution. And that's one thing we brought up in Alabama when the federal...
If I may, let's come back to what what governors should do, or what could they do. In other words, address it from a constitutional argument. I'm the governor of Arizona, I'm the governor of Louisiana, and I say, this decision, I say to
if
the court,
it doesn't follow the
obey
Constitution, then their duty is to interpret the Constitution. That's what they're sworn to do.
You're my lawyer. Let's pretend that you're my lawyer. You're some young lawyer is going to, or an old lawyer, a seasoned lawyer is going to advise me. I'm a governor of a state, and I'm saying this decision is from hell, literally from hell, and I'm going to tell the justices, take it back to hell where it came from.
If a decision contradicts the Constitution, it's not law, and if it's not law, then you're not to obey it. If it's contrary to the United States Constitution. Now, many people believe, wrongfully, I might add, that just because the United States, just because one man, Justice Anthony Kennedy, decides for the majority and writes the opinion, as he done in Bowers versus Hardwick in 1986, or I'm sorry,
no,
2003 right. Lawrence v. Texas,
right.
And then in Windsor in 2013, and now in this case, Obergefell. Just because he writes it doesn't make it
law.
If it contradicts the Constitution. Now, some people are going to say, Chief Justice, you're just a state judge, and you're saying it contradicts the Constitution. I'm quoting Justice Alito, Thomas, Scalia, and Roberts. And they all say it does not
has nothing to do with the Constitution.
With the Constitution. Justice Roberts says it had nothing to do with the Constitution. So I'm not saying this on my own. I'm saying this from the four decisions. Listen to this. Justice Thomas, the court's decision today is at odds not only with the Constitution, but with the principles on which our nation was built. Supreme Court, Justice Scalia said the Supreme Court of the United States has descended from the disciplined reasoning of John Marshall and Joseph Story to the mystical aphorisms of a fortune cookie. I mean, their criticism of the minority was much more severe than I can even quote.
Scalia putting the bag over his head. That was actually funny.
Justice Thomas said the distortion of our Constitution not only ignores the text, it inverts the relationship between the individual and the state in our republic. Today's decision shows, according to Justice Alito, that decades of attempts to restrain the court's abuse of its authority have failed. Now,
if you were a governor, I want you to say the words that you would say when you stood up in front of the microphone, when you called the press conference and said, I am not going to, as the governor of this state who swore
I'm going to follow the Constitution, and the Constitution doesn't tell the states how they should regulate marriage.
So, Mr.
Because
Governor,
marriage is defined as one man and woman, has been, is defined by the Constitution of Alabama.
I have been a leader in the pro-life movement for 30 years, and sadly we have not prevailed in our goal to make it a criminal act to kill an unborn baby. There's reasons why we have failed. I wrote this book, A Humble Plea, to Catholic bishops, to evangelical clergy and to lay people, explaining where we went wrong and what we have to do to prevail. We've made this available as a PDF online for free. I encourage you to go and download your own copy. Why does a nice guy like me keep getting thrown in jail? I have been arrested almost 50 times and spent over a year of my life locked up in various prison facilities. And I wrote a book, many books. In fact, one of them is called Why Does a Nice Guy Like Me Keep Getting Thrown in Jail? It's a theological work, answering those who say that the church should not be involved in politics or that we should retreat. I encourage you to get it. In fact, get one and give it to your pastor.